Okay, looks like we on. Okay, so hey everybody, welcome to the show's and the channel's first ever video interview, and I'm really excited to have a good friend of mine. We've been in the trenches together. My bald
What's
brother.
up, Mr. Brook?
Hey
Good to
man,
see you.
I'm really excited to have you on. I can't wait to get started, and I think this has been a long time coming. You and I have had
Yeah.
conversations about retail and its impact. And you had a really unique scenario early on in your career in our previous job where
Yeah.
you got a chance to work in an urban environment and a suburban environment. For those of us who don't know or may not know, what would you say were the two biggest takeaways from that experience? How would you compare working in an urban environment and working in a suburban environment?
I think as far as the environments of retail, just retail in general, they're pretty similar. I think the biggest takeaway that I got from my working experience in retail was early on. Well, not even early. Well, yeah, early on for 7 years, I worked in the gallery in Philly, in Center City. And if you're familiar with that mall and that area, it's not a destination. You're not going to the gallery to go to the gallery. You're going to the gallery because you're trying to get somewhere else. Either you're on your way to work, or you're on your way home, or you're on your lunch break. So to go from that, where a big part of not just retail but customer service is building that relationship with people, it was a bit of a challenge because you're so busy because of so many people in and out, and folks who you see maybe once in a blue moon. And then to go from that to working in the suburbs, where I literally went from working in the gallery to working in a strip mall where the store I worked, the GameStop I worked, was a destination. If you're getting in your car to go to the strip malls because you intend to go there, you intend to buy something, um, and Tim, I mean, you can attest to this. The metrics that we were graded on in that time that we worked at GameStop, um, I was successful. And I was able to do what I had to do in the gallery, but it was like fishing a barrel when I got to the suburbs, because I was working in the destination, so I was able to accomplish those numbers and get those things that were required of my job a little bit easier. That was the biggest takeaway. I mean, people are people. They're, no matter where you go, whether you work in the city or you work in the suburbs, the demands are still going to be the same. Expectations are still going to be the same. So the biggest thing itself would just have to be the not necessarily the people, but the work, I guess, if that makes sense.
No, it does. And you and I were in very similar situations in our path. I think they may have just happened at different times, at different points during our career. But from a grand scheme of things, it was like career A and career 1A and career 1B. They were very
Right.
similar in a lot of different ways. And one thing that was really put a lot of emphasis on where we worked at in particular was customer loyalty. And
Right.
later on, as our leadership changed, guest loyalty. Um,
Right.
it was one of those things where you're exactly right. When you're not at a destination location, it's really, really difficult to get that loyalty. People are like, I'm never going to see you again, or
Exactly. Like, you're only coming in here on your lunch break, so
exactly.
I really need to get them. I'm really going to try to get this reserve off of you. Like, you're not going to come back in here.
Exactly. Or do I just want to take this cancel reserve when you come back next year?
Right.
Uh, or you come back during Black Friday, you treat that reserve as like a coupon,
Right.
and
Right.
you just take it off anyway. But
I
yeah,
never thought of that. That's actually pretty smart.
exactly. And it was one of those things where you worked in the gallery. I worked on South Street for a while, and it's so funny. My district manager when I was on the South Street location was your store manager when you were in the gallery.
Yeah,
So we had a lot of similarities there. One thing that I wanted to touch on specifically and keyed on specifically is something that you just said. You said people are people,
right.
and I think that's really important because a lot of people have this the grass is always greener on the other side approach. And they think, oh, if I can just get out the city, I can get to the suburbs. People are cleaner, they're a little bit more courteous, they're more family oriented. Or the
Uh,
reverse happens, they go from the suburbs to the city. Like, I can't wait to get out the suburbs. I want to go to the city
right.
because people are harder workers, they respect you more, they appreciate the dollar, they buy used, all these different things that you think, but the grass isn't really always greener on the other side, is it?
Not at all. Not at all. The same demands of the customer base when I was working in the gallery was the same when I was in Norristown, and from Norristown it was the same when I was in Plymouth Meeting Mall. And Plymouth Meeting Mall was the same when I got to Cheltenham Mall, and then Cheltenham Mall was the same when I got to Willow Grove. It never changed. Um, the buying habits were still the same. The tough conversations that you had to have with some customers was still the same regardless. It never changed. So when I say people are people, I mean it doesn't matter where you go. Like the same, you're going to run into the same situations no matter what store you're at.
Now, where do you think that perception comes from? Because you and I worked with so many people that said one of those two statements. I got to get out the city, man. The city
Right,
sucks. Or I mean, I can suburb. Man, we can't move used in the suburbs. I got to go in the city to get my used numbers up.
right.
And we've always heard that, but it's not true. Where does that perception come from? Do you think?
It just comes from the general idea of what the city represents and what the suburbs represents. The general idea that if you're out in the suburbs, oh well, you must have money. So, you know, if I'm going from the city to the suburbs, it's going to be easier for me to sell that PlayStation 5 with that insurance and those four games and so on, right? And if you live in the city, the general idea is okay, well, if you're in the city, you don't have that much money. So it's going to be easier for me to sell that used PlayStation 5 and those used 4 or 5 games. And and that's where that mindset comes from. But it and once you get there, once you go from the city to the suburbs, or once you go from the suburbs to the city, you realize, oh wait, no, the grind is still the same. Like there
Right.
is no difference. Like nothing changed at all.
It's so funny. I'm so thankful for our experience, and quite honestly, I mean, we got a lot of similarities. And now one more now that I just shaved my head, so we got one more similarity.
Yeah,
We got a lot of similarities. We both young black men.
right,
Um, a lot of experiences in the city of Philadelphia.
right.
And we both work retail. Both work for the same specific retail. A lot of the same passions and hobbies, and the same career path in a lot of different ways. And I think one thing that brought us together was that venting.
Yeah,
Specifically, when you were able to get to Cheltenham Mall, and when you got to Cheltenham Mall, and I was still at Shelton, it was I think that's where our relationship bonded the most. It was accelerated because we had the opportunity to vent. And one
yeah,
thing that we've been about a lot is just the sort of entitlement that we would get from
right.
customers, the type of customers or guests that would come into the store,
Yeah,
that level of entitlement or snobbery that we would see. Now, to paint the picture and to be fair, that wasn't everybody. We had some
no,
friends and dope customers that turned into friends and exchange gamer tags, play online with them.
right.
But one thing in particular that I want to key in on about that snobbish or snob like behavior is what would you say is different from that city snob versus that suburban snob? Where is it the same type of snobbery or is it completely different?
No, the snobbery is still the same. I would say. because as going back to what I said when I say people are people, I mean the expectations are still the same. Like you when you if you're a customer and you're going into a situation with another person on the other side of the counter, because you're expecting because of their obligation to customer service that you're going to get, a deal, or you're going to get, good customer service. It's funny you bring up Cheltenham because from a personal experience, growing up, Cheltenham is my neighborhood mall. Cheltenham, I grew up in that area. I know those people. Those are my people. Like those are my folks. I Mount Airy, born and raised. So for me to go to Cheltenham Mall for the time I was there, that put me in a really tough spot because when you bring up the snobbery,
yeah,
I had people coming into the store who knew me, not Rob Bailey, the store manager, but no, like Rob Bailey, like we came up together. I know you. So like their expectations of me were a little bit heightened, a little bit more different. Which was exactly why I was not a fan about going to that store. I was not a fan about going to that area because I knew what was coming by going there. But as far as the customer snobbery, it's the same. It's the same. If they're going to come in, they're going to see you behind the counter, and their expectations are going to be the same to you, whether you're just outside King of Prussia or you're down north somewhere in North Philly.
I think you've done an excellent job of kind of debunking the myth out there because it's a myth. It doesn't exist. It's fake.
Yeah.
Suburban people aren't nicer than city people. City people aren't humbler than suburban people. There's no. It's a people are people. I think that's the biggest takeaway that everybody watching this right now should take away from is that statement. People are people, and to relate to the story you just told, I'm in the very same boat. I grew up in Germantown, born and raised.
Right.
Although I frequented the EB games at the time, I on Shelton Avenue, that was my neighborhood store, and on when LaSalle opened up, that was literally around the corner from my mother's house. So now you're in these environments where you're exactly right. You're not just dealing with customers anymore. You're dealing with neighbors and friends, and in some cases, family members. It's a different beast entirely. One last area I kind of wanted to focus on before I let you go, Rob, is just retail in general and what it can mean for certain people. Now, I do agree there is a darker side of retail that most people don't really want to shine a light on, and it's the working late hours. It's the not even getting any holidays or time with your family. It's the maybe not necessarily getting paid as much as you should.
Right.
But there's a brighter side of retail too. I think it builds wonderful people skills, excellent social skills, and it helps to shape you who you are as a person. Do you think working in retail had a more of a positive or more of a negative effect on your outlook on just humanity in general, how people can be? Because keep in mind, we just talked about it. You see the crappiest side of a person when you're working in retail. So did that experience give you more of appreciation for the people who aren't like that? Or did it kind of make you think like, you know what, everybody's crap, everybody has this side of them? Did that kind of change your perception at all?
It didn't really change my perceptions of people. The positive that I could take out of working with retail is just the relationships I was able to build with the people that I work with. Taking you for account, I mean, it's been years since we worked together, but you're my guy. I have a number of friends that I worked with in the gallery who I still talk to this very day. Like 10 minutes ago, one of my guys that I worked with in the gallery was in my wedding, and I was in his wedding. As far as the people aspect of it goes, I, I'm a firm believer. I'm a firm believer that when it comes to the aspects that you need for customer service, the empathy, the patience, uh, to be able to really just go the extra mile for somebody. Either you're going to have that or you don't. It doesn't. That's not something that you can learn how to do. Like when I started GameStop when I was 17 years old, that 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 part of the job came natural to me, just because that's just me.
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn how to sell. I had to learn how to. I had to learn, the product and what we were doing, but the core aspects of customer service and working with people, that's not something I ever had a problem with. So for people, you know, in the customer service field for a long time, whether it be retail or whether it be what I'm doing now, or whether it's my wife is getting into like that, you already have that naturally.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's the other parts of the job that you have to learn as you go. But if I'm like I said, if I'm working in retail, and you're a customer, you come into my store, how I treat you, how I listen to you, how I respond to you, that's not taught. That's all natural.
Mm-hmm.
So, it, to your question, what it teaches you about people. It teaches you more about yourself than anything,
Mm.
because you'll learn more about yourself working in the customer service field than you'll learn about the person that you're trying to service.
I couldn't agree more, Rob. And the one difference that I would say in an area is I do agree that these are things that are naturally in you. But one of our district managers once said, "You don't work for a company; you work for people."
Oh yeah,
And I think it's really important to take that in because those people can help cultivate those things that are already naturally there for you, and
yeah,
they are
yeah.
already there. It can help you just execute it better.
Yeah.
You
You said so yourself. Early on, like your district manager was my store manager. She was my store manager from when I was. She hired me at 17 years old, and we worked together up until I was 24, something like that.
wow,
Like that cultivation thing that you just brought up. She raised me in this
essentially.
in retail, literally, in the whole customer service field. So, and as I got older and as I matured, and you know, I found my comfort level, my voice a little more. She let me cook. She let me do my thing, and but working for her, I was working for somebody who who raised me in customer service and retail, and didn't hesitate to put a foot up my ass when she needed to, and you know,
Uh,
and yeah. So I definitely get what you're saying.
well, I think we're both the better for it outside of just our friendship, but just who we
Yeah,
are as people. If it wasn't for retail, I know we wouldn't be where we are. It
right.
has taught us a lot of core fundamental behaviors, and I think everyone should work at least 6 months to a year in retail, and
Yeah.
everyone should at least go through a holiday season at retail because it will humble the crap out of you.
Yep.
It'll make you appreciate people way more, and it'll have you help you have a better sense of self and know what your breaking points are
Yeah.
and how much you can really tolerate. Um, Rob, this was awesome, man. I appreciate you being a part of history here.
Yeah,
This inaugural video episode for the show, and I'm really excited to edit this thing down and get it looking pretty and post it up, and hopefully, I'll do you proud. Hopefully,
we still gotta do you, me, and a couple other casts. We still gotta do our 2 hour special GameStop episode.
that would be nice, man. Maybe I'll get with one of my legal friends to see what we can and can't say.
Yeah. But they might not be around any much longer to sue anyway, so we'll see.
But we'll see. I know there's a lot of love hate there,
Yeah.
and I know if we get a bunch of us together, a group of us together, it'll be a lot of interesting stories.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But this is great, Rob. Thank you for making the time. I really appreciate it, and I'll shoot you a text when this goes up and goes live. Before I let you go, do you have anything right now that maybe you want to tell the people about?
No, I'm verbally happy living my life, just staying low and out of the spotlight. I'm good.
Awesome. Well, hey, sometimes a low profile is the best profile.
Yeah.